All right, so thank you all for coming out this morning for the budget workshop, mid-year budget workshop. Very informal workshop session, and we're going to turn this over to Kiki unless the city manager has anything. All right, Ms. Roman, whenever you're ready.
Yes, good morning.
Morning,
Thank you for being here. Mid-year for fiscal 2021. Hopefully you have a printed document in front of you that was also emailed to you. I'll give you a few highlights, and then we can go through as much detail as you like. First of all, I know there was a bit of discussion about overtime, and I want to let you know that in the past, our overtime line item also included what is referred to as on-call time. I have since made a change to our payroll system, and rolling forward, we will have two line items. One will be called overtime and one will be called on-call. On-call is used by a number of city departments, the police department, utility department, customer service department, anybody who has to respond in an instant for an emergency, they have staff members on call. So in the past, if you pulled up old audits and you looked at an overtime number, that included on call. In the future, that will no longer be the case. I cannot correct the past. I can only correct the future. Excuse me. We are also not including any HMGP in this year because we believe all of those funds will be coming next year. So all of that has been removed from this budget. I have adjusted the general fund revenues down approximately $72,000. It has a number of different reasons. As you are all aware, COVID has affected the nation in a number of different ways. Interest rates are down. Tax revenues are down. Our surtax revenues will be significantly down. You as a body instructed me to make additional payments on the surtax bonds. Those will not be able to be done. We will not have surplus surtax funds. I will not be able to make additional surtax payments, surtax bond payments. General fund expenditures are up approximately $488,000 for a variety of reasons, and we can go through those in whatever detail you like. We are adding demolition accounts in the code enforcement area. We have added a utility service worker in hopes of reducing overtime in that area. Bank charges will be up this year because of they're the banks and they can. And interest, as I've discussed, has gone down significantly. City manager and I have discussed the restoration account, which has a little less than $21 million in it currently. Last month, the interest on it was less than $2,500 on nearly $21 million. It's the world we live in now, unfortunately. With that, I will see if you have any overarching questions, and then we can go through whatever detail you like.
Probably the easiest thing to do. If you want to, let's just scroll through page by page and we can ask questions on each page.
Certainly. All right. All right. Page 1 of 27 are the revenues in general fund. Oh, what I should say is the original budget that you passed as a body last September was $54,259,000. I came to you in February with adjustments, the rollover of the purchase orders. That was $2,000,003. We're nearly back to where we started. Today, I'm bringing you back a comparable budget to where we were in September. Today, we're at $54,332,000. So basically back to where we were in September. All right.
Kiki, before you get started, since you
Yes,
started on that page, if I did the numbers right, your net income, your change in your income versus your change in your expenses are within $1. Is that the way I'm reading this?
Oh, well, that's,
The way I read it is you've got roughly 105,000 in increased revenue across the budget. Did I not?
no, yeah, if it were only that easy. The Florida statute said that revenues must equal expenditures. So in a perfect world, we would spend exactly the exact same amount of money as we bring in. For accounting purposes, I need to book what's called a cash carried forward.
Well, then let me finish my question, because that was my question. So that if you've balanced the budget out, then the only concerns that I personally would have would be transferred between enterprise funds and our general fund and cash carry forward.
Okay,
That would be my two concerns that I just want to make sure
yeah.
okay.
It would be wonderful if I could point to that last page and say, there's our problem. Yeah, it's not. Cash carry forward is the money that we use from previous savings. So the cash carry forward is the number that I would use your eagle eye to look at. That's the money that we have to go from previous savings to use for this year.
That's what I've got highlighted on every page that I've got.
Yes, so cash carry forward, I will tell you, we are basically going to use the entire CDL this year. The CDL will be completely expensed. It will be gone.
So, all right, now then, let's start with page 1. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one last thing before we start. I am doing everything I can to bring to you at the next meeting a detail of positions. We're tightening up job descriptions, and we've had some positions move between departments. So the new HR director and I and some other staff members will get together and tighten up job descriptions, titles, where people have moved around. And I will present that to you hopefully at the next commission meeting. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Page 1, revenue of general fund. Small adjustment to business taxes. Again, there was some questions last time about credits. Revenues are credits, meaning negatives in front of it. In this circumstances, negatives are good things. So we're reducing the business tax by $30,000. Then the permits and fees, where we're reducing by $85,000. If you have color copies in front of you, do you see the blue 85? Okay. So we're reducing permits and fees by $85,000.
That's actually revenue, though, right?
Correct.
So that's actually not a good thing.
Reducing revenues by $85,000, not a good thing. Page 2, intergovernmental revenues, reducing by $128,000. Charges for services, reducing by $35,000. Fines and forfeitures, increasing by $22,000. Page 3, miscellaneous revenues, increasing by $185,000. Cash carry forward increasing by $1,738,000. That's the one I said to keep your eagle eye on. So in the purple, you see $4,149,000. That's basically the CDL money is gone. Do you have questions about that? Okay.
So in the future, if it's gone, then that means next year we're gonna tighten our belt if there's okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And one of the things about the CDL is that you should not be holding on to it. That was one of the things, is that it had to be utilized in general fund to do what it needed to do. And then in order for the CDL to be forgiven, you had to show that loss for at least, I think it's 3 years. Well, we can do that. And so usually the CDL money from FEMA is forgiven. And so we anticipate that $5 million will be forgiven.
And it's unscented at the end of fiscal 2020 anyway, 2022. So we're ahead by a year. All right, now we start general fund expenditures. No adjustment to legislative. An increase to finance by $4,805. No adjustment to professional services. That department has been closed. Comprehensive planning, an adjustment of $320. We had an adjustment to workers' comp, and you're going to see very small adjustments throughout the budget for the workers' comp bill. Public Works Administration, we have an adjustment of $18,000. No adjustment to debt services. Facilities maintenance, we have an addition of $44,000. They're purchasing a trailer. Admin support, we have an adjustment downward of $3,940.
Kiki, can you give them the page number as you move
Oh,
through?
I'm sorry, yes. Page 7. Administrative support, we're adjusting down $3,940. Information technology, we're adjusting up $460. Page 8, law enforcement, we're increasing $116,000.
In reference to,
Several.
yeah, that's a pretty big increase.
That's
Looks like a new vehicle.
That is a new vehicle. There are some adjustments to salaries there. There were several promotions, I believe. There was a communications increase. I don't have my ruler with me. Come on, just one moment, please. Forfeiture fund, that's money from the DOJ, I believe, the $23,699, that's DOJ money. That's an increase to a revenue above. So this is a corresponding expenditure. And then the vehicles, the $47,000 is additional vehicles.
Is this just that it hit in the beginning of the first half of the year? Or will this increase the budget for the whole year?
It's for the whole year.
It's for the whole year.
All right. Page 9, we're increasing the fire department $46,000. Again, you see the new fire truck there. I came to you in February telling you we had to roll the purchase order for the fire truck. There it is. Code enforcement, we're increasing by $45,000.
And Kiki, will we speak to why we're increasing code enforcement?
Certainly. This is the demolition. There's $35,000 worth of demolition in code enforcement.
And we have not budgeted in the past for some of those things.
But those settled in, that demo that we're doing on private properties, that's a recoverable expense.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Go back to fire. We're increasing by the cost of the fire truck, but that was in last year's budget, right?
And so we recognize the savings in last year's budget because we never spent that money. Page 10, protective inspections were increasing by that 305. That's workers' comp money. Human resources is being increased by $3,651. Page 11, customer service going up by $323. Again, more workers' comp adjustment. Streets is going up $60,000. And that has to do with a public pedestrian bridge,
And that money has been taken out of
streets.
Come out of mobility.
Oh,
yes,
the
yes.
impact fees. That will
Yes.
come out of impact fees. Fleet management is going up $287. Also workers' comp money. Economic development going up $21,000, primarily additional community grant money. Sorry, page 12.
Well,
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
On page 11,
Yes, ma'am.
the aluminum value reserve, is that gonna be a yearly thing, that $250,000?
It is a yearly expense. We have not discussed next year's budget. I know that that is forever and ever now. That is something that the city has taken on responsibility
That
for.
was quite a gift.
That's a recoverable expense for 10 years.
Correct.
$250,000 a year.
Yeah, that's 10 years worth.
Correct.
Oh, they pay us back every
So
year.
Every quarter, yes, yes.
We
We submit-
will be submitting for reimbursement quarterly.
I think it's a certain amount of money up to 10 years. I think.
And that covers what, salaries and?
Yes.
How many people will we have out there?
To
2. Salaries, equipment,
Lawn maintenance, all that?
maintenance.
part of those personnel changes that I'll bring to you next time. All right, page 12, the $50,000 for the public pedestrian bridge mobility fees used for that. Fleet maintenance, workers' comp adjustment, economic development up 21,000 for community grants. Page 13, no adjustments to the library. Sports and recreation, we're spending another $152,000. We've added $25,000 for R&M in the cemeteries and $75,000 for R&M in parks. There's an adjustment down in parks and grounds. These two departments were one at one point, and then we broke them up. There's some discussion about putting them back together again now. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but they're kind of intertwined. So you need to look at them as sort of, So on page 14, you see an adjustment down of 32.
$152,504 in sports and recreation is what?
The vast majority is for the cemetery and R&M parks.
100,000 of it for the cemeteries and R&M for the park. Looks like another 30. Is that lease or is that utility?
Utilities.
Utilities.
And we've been going through the Gulf Power bill with a pretty fine-tooth comb and finding some things there. Joe Footen discovered that we've been charged for the electrical on the Bailey Bridge. That is not our responsibility. So we're going back to Gulf Power to find out why we've been charged for that power there and if we can make that adjustment, see who we need to talk to about getting that corrected.
Just out of curiosity, how come we didn't budget utilities in parks and recreation on the original budget?
The Gulf Power bill can be a challenge. The Gulf Power bill monthly is about that thick, and it's about $65,000. And it's we have an existing Excel spreadsheet that we just dump it into, and we're learning how to read it.
Well, you've added a utility line item, so I'm assuming in the future there'll be a budgeted amount for that.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes, it's a matter of more correcting.
Thank you. And Kiki, my questions are informational. I mean, I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that. And again, I'm learning as I go. Every day is a new learning experience. So again, parks and grounds and parks, sports and recreation are sort of intermingled. So page 15, animal shelter, we're adding $300 workers' comp adjustment. And that gets us to total expenditures for general fund, $17,700,000. All right. Overarching questions about general fund? Any detailed questions about general fund?
Not so much a question, Kiki, but I'm really concerned, and I'm sure you guys have discussed this. Looking at next year, inflation's not getting better. Interest rates are not getting any better.
No.
Things are just going to get more expensive, and I mean, I think drastically more expensive. I'm not trying to be the soothsayer of doom here, but if you read the tea leaves of what's going on, everything's about to go up significantly. And so I think that we're definitely going to have to look at this, for the next fiscal year and make sure that we're tightening our belt as much as possible to offset some of these increases, just like we have to do at home. When gas costs more and groceries cost more, you offset some of these things. So I appreciate what we're doing, but I just want to put that out there that I don't see this necessarily getting better with the economy looking the way it is. So I appreciate city manager. I appreciate what you're doing, but I just want to make it known. Let's make sure we're keeping an eye on this.
Well,
Let me just say that,
needs to be the next 6 months, not wait till next year. This is an indicator that we're going up, and
Well, that's why
we're borrowing $1.7 million from CDL, and then we're gonna, at the end of the year, look at ourselves and say, hey, we've done it again. I mean, so we really need to make serious adjustments and try to come in on.
but now the CDL was it was a loan. It's a
Right. It's something you had to
forgivable
do,
loan that we
but-
needed to use due to
But
COVID.
the indicators are, there's gonna be increased the budget.
My takeaway from this is this commission needs to be careful too, because if you look at it, we have already approved $1.1 million of this. So if you got anybody to blame, the buck stops at this commission. We voted to approve 1.1 million of this increase. So, and I take responsibility because I'm one of us. So. But that number shocked me when I saw that number, that we had approved a $1.1 million increase in our budget. So, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Next is the disaster fund. So, in reviewing what we believe will be coming in from FEMA, we had originally thought we were going to be bringing in close to 13 million. It looks like now, between now and the end of September, it looks like it will be closer to $11 million. So we have reduced that revenue by 2 million. The insurance, we still are of the belief that we will be bringing in something close to $5 million in insurance money between now and the end of the year. There are certain adjustments here on the SRF money, and it was a coding error that was brought forth from the last budget. So the net adjustment is for $2.5 million. As far as expenditures go, and now I'm on page 16 of 27, we adjusted down the legal fees. We had originally thought there would be $800,000 of legal fees, and that's net of the insurance money. The legal team that works on recouping those insurance monies charges a percentage, but we're just receiving the check. So when the check comes in, they've already taken their cut. So I'm booking the net of the money when the check comes in. So I've significantly reduced that expenditure number. We're not going to be using that $1.8 million for professional services others, so I've removed that from this budget, as well as the 828 that's been removed. There are a number of different items that we just don't have time to do this year. So as you can see, there are lots and lots of different adjustments here. The PPDR program has been completed. We had originally budgeted $600,000 in this budget. It's done. We should not have any further invoices come in. I confirmed with Crowder Gulf. We have a check that we have to pay them for $350
Yes.
or something, and I'll
Very
have that
small.
for you later today. But very minimal. That's all gone. Other adjustments, you can see that there are just many adjustments. So when all is said and done, the expenditures for the disaster fund on the bottom of page 17, we believe we're going to be spending $16,893,000 versus our original projection of $19,000,003. Let me see at the bottom of the page, the bolded numbers. Questions about the disaster fund? All right. And 102. That is the 501c3 that has been closed out. Those are just the small dollar donations that are done. All that paperwork has been completed. Those last bits have been closed out. I am receiving $16 checks here and there that I am signing a letter and sending back to the donors saying thank you for your continued support. However, we are no longer accepting donations. The need has been met. Fund 103. That is the COVID fund. We're keeping that open, although I'm not really sure if we're going to see any more funds come into Fund 103. I think that might be done. But there is a little bit of money still in there. There's $24,000. I don't think that we're going to see any more money from the federal government in that fund. 201 has been closed out by the auditors. There's $15 in there. I just need to make an adjustment to get rid of that $15. All right, so Fund 301, that's the surtax fund that I spoke about earlier. Now I'm on page 19. You as a body had directed me to make prepayments on the Series 17 surtax bond and Series 18 surtax bond. I'm here to inform you there will be no additional funds available to make those prepayments. Unless the economy dramatically turns around, we are seeing a dramatic drop in revenues. I will keep you informed if that changes. I just don't see it happening this fiscal year.
And normally we have money in this fund here. So when we did this sweep that the commission voted to do, it really took away that little cushion that we normally would have in this fund.
We are committed to the $1 million for the paving project.
That's exactly
And the
right.
$180,000, I think it is, for the paving the senior center parking lot. And over and above that, there's really no
There's
extra
nothing.
wiggle room in this fund. All right, the water fund.
Just real quick,
Yes, sir.
at a minimum, the revenues coming in are at least covering the bond payment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
We have enough money to pay payments.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
no
I just
additional.
want to make sure we hadn't depleted it to where you weren't going to be able to make the
No,
payment.
we're making
we
the
haven't.
payments. That's not a problem.
Okay.
All right. The water fund, I'm making no adjustments to the revenues. However, we are making an adjustment to cash carry forward because there are some adjustments to the expenditures. I'm on page 20 now. Some minor adjustments here and there, the largest of which, in my ruler again that I didn't bring with me, $300,000 to professional services. And off the top of my head, I don't know what that project number is.
What are you looking
21035. Computer went to sleep. So if you give me a moment,
I have a quick question. You said you made no adjustments to revenue in the water. Is that expected? Or with all revenues going down, are we gonna see less revenue from the water bill, correct?
What page are you on? Are you on the water?
He's on 19, I believe.
He's on 19.
Water revenues.
I don't foresee that there's going to be a massive, I did not forecast that we needed to make an adjustment to the revenues in the water department.
Because they are actually they're trending up a little bit. And that's not a bad thing at all. So we just decided to leave it flat there. Okay.
Typically trends up as spring.
Yes, exactly right.
It went to sleep on me while we were talking about other things. Let me try and come back to that for you. Well, that's the largest thing in the water department. Oh, and I believe that it was a roll up from we moved $200,000 from the old system improvements into a different project. I gave it a different project number. So if you look on page 21, you see the negative $200,000. We took that $200,000, we rolled it up into that $300,000 above. It was just a reassignment of money there. I did need to increase the bad debt by $40,000 where, based on the directive of this commission, we really did not actively pursue folks who were unable to pay their water debt after the hurricane and during COVID. We are now trying to actively collect those accounts. As you might imagine, it's a bit difficult and people are having some trouble with that. So I've had to increase the bad debt because it's hard 2 years later collecting money for people that have forgotten about us.
Did we not at one point vote to waive some of the?
We have waived over the process of the last 2 years. We didn't charge them late fees, but they still owe us for their usage.
Okay, that's okay.
And
I was trying to remember what the vote was. So
we've been billing for the usage, but they haven't been paying for the usage. And they've moved on. And 2 years later, now they're getting their bill, and we're saying, please pay us for the usage. And they've said, well, but it's 2 years later. And we're saying, yes, you owe us for the usage. So the customer service department has quite a challenge in front of them. All right.
I mean, do we have a process set up to turn it over to the collection agency at some point?
Yes.
That's starting now.
Okay.
Yes.
I hate to do that, but we did waive the late fees and stuff and tried to help people. So
We did.
Thank you.
It was good intentions at the time. It was a thoughtful process where we have unintended consequences now.
Sure. Yeah, that is an option. And if you don't mind, during the commission meeting, you could bring it up for the commission to discuss.
May I?
Just one thing too. Stephanie's here, and Stephanie's been working on the credit bureau. I want to just let her to give you the history on that, if you will. Just
She is working with individual customers.
Yes.
And I don't mean to speak for Stephanie, but from my perspective, you have to be careful. You can't just blanketly say if you haven't paid your bill, that's okay, because
Right.
It's not fair to the people who did pay their bill.
Well, then it opens the door for
Right.
other people to choose not to
Right.
pay their bill. And
Correct.
that could be-
So yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
delicate situation.
Stephanie, will you come and give kind of the process that you're working on to get that our bad debt?
Good morning. So we are working on collecting bad debt ever since Hurricane Michael. It's been a slow process here and there, but now we're able to kind of hit the ground running with it since we're kind of cleaning up the books. We are running into issues where, people left because their homes were destroyed and they never provided a forwarding address because they didn't have one at that time. So there's several different various issues leading to that. But the process now is we are sending out letters to these residents, and we're apologizing for the delay in reminding them of this debt, but we are also giving them more time to pay it. Typically, when your services are disconnected, your choice, you have a month to pay that bill. A month later, you will get a letter from us stating you still have a balance due, and it's due again in 30 days. So after the 60 days, that's when we end up writing the balance off and sending it to our credit bureau. So we're treating everybody as having this letter, giving them another 30 days, and then we'll be sending it over at that time. Anybody who is able to contact us, we're, again, taking payments from these people. It's an unexpected amount sometimes, so we're still taking payments. We're going to work with them in any way we can. So this is one of our common questions and common disputes. There's different family sizes everywhere, and everybody has different watering habits, whether it's inside or outside. So one of the questions I don't love to answer is, what is an average water bill? Because everybody uses a different average. Some people, their water bills are about $50. They'll be surprised to know that other people use an average of about $150 a month. Yeah, yeah, I see it. No, we do have, of course, due to Hurricane Michael, typically when you leave your property and you do not notify us that you've left your property, eventually your services will be disconnected for non-payment. Well, due to the hurricane, of course, we weren't disconnecting for non-payment. So these residents who did not notify us that they were leaving continued to accrue a bill for several months after that. So those are our bulk of the bigger bills. But again, we are working with those residents, and they're able to provide us with documentation that states, when they left. So those base rates can be negotiated.
We're not going to get in the weeds too much on this, but thank you very much.
Thank you,
for the report.
Thank you.
I know we got a limited amount of time to finish the budget, so thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. So the project number that I was unable to look up for, Shannon was gracious enough to get it for me. In the water department, 21035, the $300,000, that's identified as emergency repairs. All right. So moving on to the sewer department. Page 21. Again, I've made no adjustments to the revenues. However, I've had to increase the cash carry forward by $836,000. On page 22, you can see the adjustments to the expenditures, the bulk of which is for the agency bond fees. That has to do with the debt service. There was a debt service schedule that was inaccurate that I've had to change. And just another one of those learning experiences. So the ending for the sewer is at $5,937,000. The rest are small adjustments here and there. Questions about the sewer department? Also, bad debt, we've increased by $30,000. Same explanation that Stephanie just gave you. 404. Also, with the stormwater, we've had to increase their expenditures by $207,000. At this point, we've taken additional money from sanitation to fund their shortage. And their shortage is primarily coming from R&M infrastructure. Now I'm looking at page 24 of 27. You see the $205 there. Sorry, $205,000 there. That's the bulk of their adjustment. And again, that will be paid for from the sanitation department. Sanitation department, that cash carry forward number there, the 209, again, to help on page 25, that helps pay off the stormwater money. Very small adjustments on their expenditures on page 25.
So in essence, you're having to pull out of sanitation's reserves, transfer to stormwater to cover stormwater expenses.
Yes, sir.
That is correct.
When do the stormwater assessments go into effect?
That will happen October 1st, if everything goes well and the commission passes all of the fees. And so we'll know that when we start to do our next budget, we'll know whether or not by then, hopefully, that what the rates will be, so we can build that into the budget.
Fiscal year,
Yes,
no, but
yes.
when will we actually see money coming into the?
November, so normally we see it about December. You have that wave of people who pay right when they get their, their taxes, and so you see a lot of it come in December, January, February, and then you'll have some trickle in March. So you'll see a nice portion of that.
Page 26 of 27, this is your CRA report. We are increasing your expenditures by $18,000 for a number of different reasons. We did make an adjustment on the signs that we found that we had actually accidentally included them in twice. So you will see a debit and a credit going in there. They've cleaned that up.
Signs, the signs that we spent $75,000 on.
61,000.
Has anybody seen them?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, matter of fact, I texted Ben and
He
told him,
did.
great job.
Aren't they beautiful? They're already up.
Already up? Where are they?
They're along.
One over by the
707.
barber shop out here.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all.
Those are the ones that we voted on last year, the 61,000.
So netting out to 18,487, modest adjustment to the CRA there. So again, as I mentioned, the ending budget, 54,332,000. So almost back exactly where we started last September. Further questions?
My only takeaway is that we need to work on making sure the stormwater fees, because by my calculations, we transferred, 1.19 million out of, from water to stormwater, and 470,000 from sanitation to stormwater. Is that what my numbers read? For the overall budget, no change from water to stormwater in the mid-year, but a $207,000 increase in the mid-year.
Additionally,
So basically we're subsidizing stormwater to the tune of 1.6 million from the other funds. So that's why we got to do something about the stormwater. That's fine. He's going to take care of it. Hopefully.
Aren't we getting some that grant as well that will be going towards stormwater, correct?
The American Rescue. Yes, we actually sent in the application for that last week. And so hopefully that money will be in within the next couple of months for us to utilize.
Because that'll beef up that account pretty well.
Absolutely.
We sent in the application, we're not approved, right?
Well, the money's already been approved for the
Approved?
cities, but you have to go through the process to draw it down.
Okay.
So, Commissioner, got any questions for Kiki about the budget? We got about 10 minutes left before Commissioner. Any questions? So let's open up to